Hello and welcome to Music with Brylie. We are going to work on a piano composition today. And let me just do one thing real quick. All right. So I recorded this yesterday and I'm going to try to get in the habit of playing and recording the same day, but it's just, it takes time. So I recorded it with adapt tempo. We have a little bit of a smart tempo grid and a dynamic tempo here. Let's take a listen. Before I go too deep, I want to create a new alternative. So I keep the original. And in this first alternative, I typically look at the MIDI velocity, which it's not too bad, but there's some velocity variation. And I like to kind of compress the velocity into like this range. I'm still working out the best way of doing that. But I think one way is applying a function using these MIDI transform. Velocity limiter. It's sort of relating to limiting, but I want upward. So it is like this curve, but it should look something like this. I wish there was just a clean way of drawing this map. I think it's similar to an S-curve. Where I want the velocities to stay in this middle range. It could even just be a linear. Just to tighten them up, kind of keep them proportional. Something like that. I think that's pretty good. All right, let's hear how this sounds. It looks all right. It looks, keeps the ratios natural. But then this thing here. Okay, so now that we've got the velocities cleaned up, I'll say I'll create a new project. So save this. Create a new project alternative called notes. Where I'll look at the individual notes and the ones I want to remove. Actually, more broadly, so velocity is sort of a thing I apply on the whole track. Then spaces, I want to remove these gaps, and then the notes. So I'm kind of working from big scale to small scale. So let's rename this one to gaps. Because there's times I just pause, and I want to make this kind of musical in the context of an album. So for gaps, I use the secondary tool of the scissors, and I'm going to cut that out first thing. And I have this, I think it's just command, or I create a shortcut command delete. I check the chat real quick, just in case. I just launched chat. Quantize is the second thing. After velocity, but I'm not really, I haven't figured out this quantize with the adaptive. Smart team. So there was a little bit of a gap here. Just need to focus. Some of the gaps are musical, but some of them I want to remove. I think there should be a scale. These are examples of musical gaps at the end, yeah. Okay. So there's a short piece, just to kind of get in the habit of starting a routine. It's something I can repeat. That's my goal. So I think these are all good now. Oops, cancel this. Let me just, while I'm thinking of it, I'll do this volume automation real quick. Because now I have the length of the piece more or less. So I can say from here, maybe just have a clean. Volume fade. So I'll come back to quantize. Before I can properly quantize, I think the first thing I want to do is smooth these curves. There's a lot of information here. I think I can simplify that and then run the, probably as a second step, quantize everything. Join those tracks. Run the smart tempo analysis. And you have to kind of jiggle this handle. And then on the sidebar here, there's record quantize, which I could just start using, but I don't have like a set tempo when I'm playing these, so it's a bit tricky. Go back to piano roll, Q. Save the quantize step and the gaps step. For this track, I'd like to try an experimental approach. So yeah, I think I will layer in this ambience. Kind of a new theme. This is a more experimental album. My last album was just the pure piano sounds. So I've got this song, like bird song. Let me get this. So I recorded this song yesterday. I think I can just drag this in here. It's a new. Okay, drag it to the. It's FLAC. I like FLAC. I wish Apple would just get their heads out of their butts sometimes. So I'm just loading it into Audacity. And we just need to export it. We'll find a segment that's like sort of a consistent loudness, no big kind of transients or events. Mostly birds, or I could loop it. We'll see what we can do though. Okay, so now we'll go back to the Logic and bring up this. Oops, I wasn't paying attention where I exported it to. Yeah, so that's not the right place. So we'll go piano. Okay, Logic, Finder, Lab, and I should just be able to drop it in here. I don't need necessarily a sampler instrument or anything like that. I could, I'd like to experiment with some kind of granular synthesis on some of these. Maybe get back in Bitwig, but Bitwig doesn't have this adaptive tempo. This is really good for piano, my particular type of piano where I'm not always on tempo. It's quite a long file. We don't need a downbeat for this particular one. So this is by Tim Kahn from freesound.org. They asked for attribution, so I will give attribution. It's a bit tricky. I'll give attribution in as many places as possible. But when I distribute the music, I don't always get to edit the description. On SoundCloud and Freesound and things, I can do that. I just realized that's going to be a trick. To figure out. And I have to figure out the Spotify situation as well. So let me see if there's one. I want to give attribution, I'm not opposed to it. I need these to be free cultural works. Approved for free cultural works. But, I mean, I kind of respect copyright, but at the same time, it like can make things really complicated, especially these big companies. Sort of, I think, are almost abusing copyright. Let's see. Well, I'll figure this. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But basically, what does this part of it sound like? I forgot what all the way out here. A little crow frame. That's a pretty good segment. Let's see what this segment's like. I like how this one, you can hear the cars, how it starts out sort of mellow. And let's go to here, see how long that is. Oh, strange. Okay. It also... Yeah, I'm not going to do this. It messed with my whole tempo track and made the song really long as well. I'd like to do that though. I'll figure it out, but not on this song. I got 15 minutes in this hour session, so I'm just going to try to upload this now. So we'll do a quick mix, master. Yeah, just introduced some complexities around copyright and then some technical things. Copyright, namely attribution. I mean, it was a Creative Commons attribution piece, and I just want to honor that. So we're going to put on Neutron 5 stereo. I just think this piece is okay to share at this point. I don't want to do heavy editing. I'll get better at this velocity curve so it's not so sweeping, but that's the nature of this piece, I suppose. Let's go to a part that's a little bit more velocity dense. Recognizes it as a piano. Applied some drive. Let's just pull that back. Turn this down real quick. And I'm going to bring the screen capture up because it's going to jump. It'll take just a minute, but it's going to bump the volume up. Alright, so it's thinking EDM, which is alright. I like a full spectrum sound. Which is more like jazz, but it's not like a genre thing. It's more of the typical curve, like frequency curve. And even though it's piano and piano's a little bit thinner, I like the boost, the shimmer, the shine that it gives that, and sometimes it brings up the lower frequencies as well. Okay. Yeah, there's a bit of a glitch here. Glitch in the matrix. At this. Doesn't want to expand it. Weirdly enough. It's not, there's nothing there to expand, I guess. You have to do it here. But I want to let that note sustain. And resonate. If it cuts off here, that doesn't happen. That's probably a pretty long silence at the end there. So, and I think part of it was because I moved this. Somehow that causes a bug. I moved this and I cut into the track basically. So 2.5 minutes, not bad. Suitable for a desire to share. So the other thing that we're going to run while I bounce is this Yulin loudness meter. It's really cool. And we're going to target just a not so arbitrary value, but I'm distributing this on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music. They have a little bit differing standards, but YouTube recommends -14 less. I just want to have a standard way of doing it and not do the loudness wars. So this is only a 2-minute song, so I'm just going to bring it to 3 minutes, and then what we're going to do is bounce it. The whole project. Start to finish. For the MP3. Just using my given name. And that's the name of the album. Pretty sure. Yeah, I decided. I don't know if like. Anyway. All right, we'll go with that. Figuring out it's in transition, but I thought if I just use my given name, it's easier to say. It's fewer syllables, and I think it's more common for musicians to have kind of short, pronounceable names. Brylie Christopher. Pretty easy to say. Not too pretentious, I hope. So we'll go back to here, new beginnings. We'll create a folder called bounces. And I'll say, I'll do the whole thing. So it's ordered by artist, album, song title. And then we're just going to watch this and see what our left value is. So yeah, Ozone has a tendency to push high by default in its analysis, and it's creating some analog clipping, which may not be desirable. If it's occasional, it's okay, but this is pretty constant. I'm going to let it get all the way through, but it does look like the piece is pretty narrow. Well, the loudness range is under 5. For piano especially, there's pauses and there's dynamics, which I compressed. Under 10 is my goal, loudness range. So here's a good example, a couple of dips. And I'll use not only the MIDI compression, but then we're using audio compression and upward compression in the Neutron 5 to, they call it density, to kind of keep things in a good range. So I just want to see what the overall value is. This later half is a bit heavier, louder. And constantly clipping. And then I'm just going to subtract. Just a simple operation. Okay, so there we are. So if my target is here, I'm at 8. What we can do is come back over to Ozone. And we go to the, and you can see it. Piano is mostly in this range, and it's kind of making these really big sweeps, which is not something you typically want to do in the mastering stage. But anyways, pushing down the mids and bringing up the lows and highs to try to kind of make it fit that shape. It doesn't sound bad, but it's just because these lows and highs are so, there's nothing there, and the mid is so prominent, it has to sort of make this arching shape. Anyway, so we're going to -6. And that'll put us right at 14 minus 14 less integrated, and our loudness range is pretty good here. So this is basically compressing it also, but it's kind of range-based compression. And we don't have any other instruments to rebalance, so that's kind of not meaningful. So now let's run that bounce again. Same settings. So now it does that. It's a short piece. We'll just override the previous file, replace that, and replace the MP3. I wish Logic supported FLAC. It's been around long enough, and it's a meaningful codec. It's not something that's not like, it has a niche. You know, we got AIFF and WAV that are lossless, so it's kind of understandable that those coexist, I suppose, and Logic supports those. MP3 offers the compression, lossy compression, and I don't know if Logic supports another lossy format, but then FLAC is the lossless compression. It's like in the middle, you know, and it's a meaningful thing because it saves disk space and it's pretty good quality. It's been around a while. It's not like a newcomer. It's supported by Bitwig, you know, I'm sure probably Ableton, maybe Cubase, I don't know, but it's not like a fringe codec. It's been around for a while. Apple will do Apple things, and unfortunately they don't play well with others oftentimes. A lot of times not invented here, also syndrome going on. So I'm thinking about in the long run maybe switching to Cubase from Logic, but you know, that's a big change. It's quite expensive too. All right, so now if we look here, minus 14, we're pretty good. No analog clipping, and naturally this song is a bit more intense in the latter half. It's just the way of the song. It's under my desired loudness range. I could I think I will. Maybe just, I have a couple more minutes. At 1 minute 37 seconds, it jumps in, comes out of that silence, or that quiet part. And it's here. And it comes up 79 peak. I think I could take just a couple decibels off of it. Wish I could set these values, but I don't want to do it mid-note. So it needs to come in before that note, but somehow gracefully. And then somehow out gracefully. We'll check what I did over there. Was it 1.8? Yeah, I'll leave it at 1.8. It's fine. And it's essentially, it's kind of proportional to the frequency, and I guess it's because you have these resonances that are accumulating there. And I'll use the curve. It's hard to see, it's so small. I think it'll sound more natural if I can curve it. It seems higher. Is that higher? All right, it's 9 o'clock. I need to go. So let's bounce it again with this little bit of an adjustment here. Let's see what that does to our overall LUFS. I think I might need to bring it up slightly. That's pretty good. What I'll do is typically just a small deal, but I'll try to work in like half decibel increments and get right at, you know, an average of minus 14 loves. So because the whole album should be consistent. That's what I'm doing in the album context. Also, the streaming services like to have the listening level be consistent between tracks because it's kind of annoying to have to turn up and down your volume. So yeah, this will be the final bounce. I'll share this later today. I'm gonna hop to work now. What's this exports? This has been another session of Music with Brylie. Appreciate your time. I hope you're doing well and working on your creative spark, whatever it is. Have a great day.